Okay, let's see if this is gonna work. This is my third time trying to get this message to you guys, and I know I promised yesterday. I promised last week that I would have the video out on Wednesdays about a walk with God, and people were asking me, "Is there really a God?" Now, I, what I'm about to tell you is not trying to persuade anyone or change your religion or anything like that. I'm only telling you a a real life experience with God. Hopefully, this video, the third video that I'm trying to do right now, will be uh, produced. Now, um, there was a time when I was upstairs, and you know what I mean by upstairs. Um, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take this gum out. Okay. I was upstairs and in a different department, and I was sitting out on the garden, and in the garden consists of a lot of greenery, and my job was to just be among the plants and the greenery, the trees, and well, it wasn't really trees. It was just plants, roses, stuff like that. And believe it or not, they were green. Everything there was green, and it remind the porch that I was sitting under or in were remind you more like the Roman, just a Roman type of con- construction that um, made it look. Everything was brick, was cemented. I put it like that, not brick, but cemented, and we happened to I happened to have been having a conversation with this Caucasian lady, and we were facing each other, and so we were having a conversation about the plants, and her thing was to draw. She likes to she when she was here on Earth, she was a famous drawer. I would say an artist. She loved to draw, paint, things like that. So that was her job up there as well as mine. Because down here, I love to do plants. I gotta keep them alive, and I talk to them, I sing, I tell them jokes, and anyway. So we were discussing about things like that, and we happened to have said something that was funny. I don't quite remember, but we happened to have said something that was funny, and we started laughing. And so we were, like I said, we were facing each other, and I was able to see behind her, and so forth and so on, and versus vice versa. She was able to see behind me, and so forth and so on. So when we were laughing, her smile happened to have fell off her face. And she looked up, she was looking up. And so I was thinking in my mind that, oh my goodness, I knew who it was. Because this particular messenger always go around, and when he comes around, there's a job for you to do here on earth. You got to come back to earth to do a job. And so I kind of easily turned my head around and sure enough, he was there, hoping that he wasn't, but he was there. And he said to me, he had a scroll in his hand, it was open. And he said to me, he said, the Most High. He said his name, but I don't remember. But it's the Most High wants to visit you, wants you to visit him. And he calling upon you. So I was like, oh man. So, I gets up and I go. And we're standing at this huge double door. The doors were white and a little trimming of gold. It wasn't anything, you know, flamboyant. It was just beautiful on its own. Am I making sense? I wasn't overdoing it and things like that. It was just beautiful on its own. And so as the double doors open up, and the doors seemed to be about 10 feet tall. And as the double doors opened up, I turned to look at him, and he was gone. So I walked in, and I stopped between these two statues. Now, while I stopped, I don't know, there were a humongous, I want to say 10 feet or even taller statues, angels, statues, angels that were, one were on my left side and the other was on my right side. And they were just standing there. Um, I'm going to say that they had to be more like a statues, because they didn't operate or function without the Most High permission. So they stood there and they was looking at one another, and they never took, looked down to see who I was or if I was present or anything. I'm assuming that they knew. But let me share this with you about them. They had gorgeous wings, and the wings was tucked in behind them, but their wings were so long and beautiful, and the tip of their wings almost touched the floor. And in the wings, there was tremendous power in their wings. I mean, if they would have flapped their wings real hard, I think that they would have been able to shake the world or the earth off its orbit, or probably would have, just bounced it around. That's just how much power that they had. Um, or one wing would have enough power and strength to hold the world up with no problem. It was power where when they flapped their wings, the unseen world would stop and focus and pay attention to these angels. And the reason why I'm saying this about the angels and their wings is because at that time while I was standing there was a message coming to me. And I don't know if it was through them or what, but it was a message coming to me about everything I just told you. There is some more, but like I said, I don't remember because I wasn't even here on earth then. So I looked forward, and there were this glass marble type of floor with a dome in the midst of it, almost like a crystal ball, but it was the dome itself was connected to the floor. If you know what I'm saying, you could walk on the floor, then you have to go up over the dome and come back down just to cross over the floor. Something similar like that. And right before that throne, right before right before that, were a chair, and the chair was seated in the middle or in front of the glass dome. And when he called me, so the chair had a spirit in there, in the chair, and the spirit was like rainbow colors. It was like diamonds, the stars, brighter than a star. It was like fireworks. It was not overdoing. It made sense, but then again, it was something you don't see. Probably bits and pieces somewhere else, but not the whole entire being. Excuse me. And so when he told me to come forth, I was making a gesture to walk. And I remember while I'm trying to walk, this transparent glass was carrying me to him, towards him, or her, if you want to call God, a she or he, whichever one. And it stopped right side beside the glass dome. So I looked over to see the activity that was going on in the uh, glass door, in the glass dome. And it was the earth. It was people. And it was people that was calling on God. It was people that were working for God. And they were ever before Him, 24/7. They were ever before Him. And whatever thought that He thought, whether it was deliverance or blessing or, assisting you or healing or, you know, it, I consider a blessing. When God bless, I consider it in all forms and fashion. A blessing is a blessing. But I want to be a little detailed with you so that you can get an idea of what I had went through up there. And as he sat on the throne, he was moving like the ocean. And every time he moved, the colors were, come in and fade out and go go out and come in and go out and come in and the movements and everything would fade out and come back. It was just gorgeous. It was unbelievable. And the sparks were just there. And on his right hand side, there was this spirit that you knew something there, but you couldn't quite see it until it moved. And then you knew it was something there, but you couldn't quite see it because it moved like the ocean. It moved like water. And then there were um, the angels and the archangels and the heavenly hosts and the cherubim and a harp. And the harp remind me of a female playing the harp on her back. And she was able to play as she moved her fingers. She was able to play the harp. Anyway, so he said to me, I want you to help this lady. She is your mother. My mother. And as I looked, I seen a hail of smoke come over the glass. And when it moved away, it was her. And she was praying. She was praying. Excuse me for a minute. Let me close the door. Thank you. Oh, there you are. She was praying, she was crying, she was tormented, she was asking God for help. And she was saying, please, God, please help me. I don't know which way to go. Forgive me for everything I've done. And so he said, I want you to go. Well, that was a choice because when he asked me, I felt like it was a choice, and he was waiting for me to respond. And not only him, but the heavenly host was waiting. Every spirit, everything that was there was waiting for me to respond. I said to him, or to her, I said, God, these people is not going to listen. I mean, you've been doing this for how many centuries and years and time before the beginning of the world or around the beginning of the world. You know these people are not going to take heed. And you just keep just keep trying. He did not say a mumbling word to me. So I knew that it wasn't going to go no further than that. He wanted an answer. I said, well, okay. And before I was able to say anything else, I was in my mother's womb. I could hear her laugh. I could hear her talk. I knew when she sneezed. I knew when she was eating. You know, I knew when she was sad. I knew when she was happy. I knew when my father was around. You know, I knew when he was happy, when he was sad. I remember he used to touch my mom's stomach, and I could feel the love coming through it. And I would kick, you know, because it was a feeling that I haven't felt since I've been in my mom's womb. And I enjoyed it. I loved it because it was warm. It was a warm feeling. And it was a message came through that. And the message were that he loved me. Well, I was born. And when I was born, the doctor took one look at me once he slapped me on my ass. And I seen the evil spirit himself. If you know what I'm saying, I'm not calling no names. I'm not calling nothing out right now because I'm talking to you. But I seen the evil spirit himself in this doctor. And I knew right then and there I would be hated on. I knew right then and there why I would be hated on. And 3 weeks later, I wind up being in another family. And I didn't know who these people were, but I didn't see my mother nor my father anymore, and I was concerned. So in my little infancies, I asked God, where is my mother? Where is my father? At that time, I started growing. As I started growing up, a lot of supernatural things would happen. I saw my mother, you know, in her great power doing things. You know, the Seven Sisters, Louisiana, you know, Creole, and she was straight up Indian. She spoke another language, but she also spoke the language that the Indians speak. We used to visit the Indians' plantation a lot, and the teepees and things like that. We used to visit that. And, you know, at that time, there's a lot of them between Houston, Texas, and Louisiana. As you go down this road, you can see a lot of teepees. And we would go off on that road into the territory of the Indians. And, you know, supernatural things was performed there. So back to her, she became an alcoholic way before I was born. She was an alcoholic. I didn't know it. You know, God only said what He said to me that I'm sharing with you that He said. He didn't go into details of who, what, or pointing fingers or judging. He just said, you know, that she was crying out to Him that He wanted me to help. He wanted to deliver her, and He wanted my presence there. And so, time went on. She was an alcoholic, and I was abused. I was in sexual abuse, but I was abused. You know, sometimes she'll beat me up and thinking I'm someone else. She'll beat me up and thinking I said something. She'll beat me up. While I'm looking at her like that, whatever that look was, she'll beat me up because I wasn't sitting there from 9 o'clock at night to uh, 7 o'clock in the morning to hear her. So she would get up and I'm sitting there, and then she would start beating me up because I just sit there, but it wasn't I just sit there, I've been there. But she was too drunk to even recognize a lot of things that she did do. I didn't understand at that time, but now I do, and I was a child then, so I thought I was a child. Now I'm an adult, and I think as an adult, and I can understand why she did what she did, because uh, she called upon these spirits, and these spirits went out, and they did what they did. And I don't think she remember, or if, especially if she drunk, if she was drunk, she didn't remember or knew how to return the spirits, should I say? And so I think they entered into her, and she got caught up with a lot of those demons, and she didn't know how to get rid of them. But she didn't believe in God, but then again, she did because she read a Bible. But she used the Bible a lot when she was doing her spiritual things, her spiritual work. She would use certain things in the Bible. Now, I'm not speaking about them, but there's certain things in the Bible that yeah. Anyway, fast forward. And so when she would do things, especially when she was drinking, I will pray silently to myself, in myself, to God. I would pray silently. And I had prayed, I think that's where I learned how to pray. Is that because it was hardly a day went by that I did not talk to God. And I didn't learn how to pray. I just knew that, you talk to God, you're praying. You're being honest with Him and open with Him. You're praying. He's listening. It's the liar that won't tarry in His sight, but He's listening to His people. And so, anyway, let's see. She went through her moments. I went through my moments. And one day she called me and asked me to come by, and I said, "Okay, Mom, I'm on my way." She at that time she was in her 90s, I think. And I said, "Okay, Mom, I'm on my way." And so she, let me tell you this before I finish anything else. My mother was in her 60s when she got me. I'm not talking about my birth mother. I'm talking about my birth mother's first cousin, which had adopted me, so to speak, if you will. And I was just 3 weeks old. So when she was in her 90s, I do believe she was in her 90s. Um, she called me and asked me to come. I did go. And as I was walking towards the porch, I noticed that she was sitting on the porch. But this woman was not the one that I know, I live with. And I'm the type of person that I don't have to stare at you to read you. I could glance because before I meet you, the spirit would tell me about you. And once I meet you, I'll just see you quickly, and then it's history. The spirit will talk to me again and will tell me even more about you that you need to know. And he doesn't give people your business. No, I see her and this man in the bed doing that. So it's getting kind of difficult because it's getting kind of sad here. It's touching me a little bit. So I said, what was it, Mom, that you wanted me to come by? I was very concerned because she usually don't call me and ask me to come right away. She said, "Baby, is that you?" I said, "Yeah." "Yeah?" She said, "Oh my God." She said, "I didn't even see you standing there." So I'm looking like, okay, now what spirit that I'm dealing with here? She said, "I thought that you were an angel or a spirit." She said, "You look like that you can almost touch God. And at that time, God and I were on a verbally conversation daily about whatever I would talk about or whatever he wants me to do or show me. And I said, yeah, it's me, Mom. I'm playing it off, but I see what I see. So that went on, and I can't remember why she called me, but then fast forward to the end. It happened to be in October, the month of October, and it was cold as hell. And it had to be around 5, 4 o'clock in the morning. I want to say 6, but it wasn't that. It wasn't sunny. In California, it's sunny. It wasn't sunny, but I'm going to say about 5, 6 o'clock. I was still in the bed because it was cold. The fireplace was on, and you know, I wasn't getting out the bed. And one of my helpers said to me, she said, Bishop, she said, your mother is sitting outside and it's so foggy you can hardly see her. What, my mom? My 90-something-year-old mother is outside right now? She said, yes. So I immediately got up and I looked out the window. And my mother was sitting at a patio table. And it was foggy as hell. And she looked straight ahead. She didn't look on the right side where my home was. She just looked straight ahead as if though she was communicating with the spirit. I'm like, what the hell? She was glistening. I mean, it looked like fireworks was coming out of her. She was peaceful, extremely peaceful. So I'm like, I'm gonna go out here, and as I was putting on my robe, I was thinking, this is not my mom. I go outside, and you trying to be cool about it. You know what I'm saying? I know most of you spiritual people out there know what I'm saying. You're trying to be cool about it because you have dealt with it all your life. You've been dealing with spirits all your life. Yeah, I'm being cool. On my guards. What kind of spirit is this? Because I didn't exactly see what type of spirit was, but I knew it was a spirit coming from above. So as I approached her, I said, Mom. I mean, I had to find her. It was just foggy. And I found her because of the lights that was around her and how she was, like I said, fireworks was just flying off of her. I said, Mom, why on God's earth are you sitting out here, just trying to be cool? She said, oh, what, I cannot sit outside? I said, Mom, it's foggy as heck. Now I didn't cuss. I wasn't the type of person that would cuss my parents, and I was the type of person that would disrespect them by cussing or cursing, whatever you want to call it. I didn't disrespect my parents at all. And so I said, well, it's foggy as heck out here, and it's cold. I mean, a 90-something-year-old person sitting out there with no coat, sitting outside in the fog. Help me out now. And so I said, aren't you cold? She said, no, I'm not cold. But she's not looking at me. She's looking straight ahead. She said, no, I'm not cold. She had the most pleasant smile on her face. Usually time, my mother, I mean, you go in her house and you, what? No, you, You gonna either pull off all your clothes or you gonna be fanning because mama gonna be having the heat on and it be uh 80 something degrees in the house already. It kind of touched me a little bit because that's my mother. You know what I'm saying? It was like your mother isn't here anymore. It was like the first wake up call to know that my mother had left. God came and got my mother. In a way, I felt a relief because I knew then that my job was done, and I believe that she came to visit me before her body leave this earth. Because a few days later, oh, let me say this. I went in to get her some uh, tea, and when I came back, because she would not come in the house, but when I came back, she was gone. I searched for my mom, and I searched for my mom, and I searched for my mom, and my mom lived maybe about 7 blocks away from me. No one answered the door, and I became very concerned. So I called upon the next person that I knew my mother very well. And she said, your mother went to Louisiana. She went back. She had to make peace with her family, which she did. And I'm not going there with you about that. So I said, she did? She said, yes. I said, when did this happen? She said, she's been gone like a week. A week? Well, I just saw my mother maybe about 4 days ago. She said, no, it couldn't possibly be your mom because your mom, I'm the one that got your mom on the airplane. I'm the one that booked your mom her flight. I'm the one that she contacted when she got there. I knew then I better get myself together and I better be strong for this because it is what it is. I thought upon it. I went back home, thought upon it, and thought upon it. A couple of days later, I get a phone call. And that's when they told me my mom had passed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought about it. I said, you mean to tell me my mom took those books that she had, especially the one with the big latch that was on it, that I didn't tell you about, but I will one day. I wanted that book because when you open it up, it had recipes and it had the picture, and the picture, as soon as you open up the book or turn the page, it comes to life. It moves. It shows you what it's all about. It see you and you see it. I'm talking about the power thereof. So if you're running around this world thinking about, oh, it's just you and it's nothing else, or it's lovey-dove in doing the unseen world, you're going to be having a rude awakening one day in your life, and I hope you don't. But I would say this. You need to prepare yourself. You need to be able to protect yourself. Because these things is flying, I'm calling things, it's alive and flying high, seeking who they can devour. you then that my mom had left this earth way before her body had died out. I learned then that, or I had many other experiences with other people that had went on with God, but their body was still around. They say that children that are being abused, or let's just say people or God's people getting killed, or children getting killed, He come get their spirit way before they go through what they have to go through. And when they scream in pain, it's not that spirit that you would know of them. It's the spirit of pain that will scream out in pain. It speaks its language. And you recognize, you be, oh God, the person in pain. That's because the spirit of pain has entered into their body. And the person that had destroyed this body is being deceived because it is thinking that it had captured and it is destroying one of God's children. Touch not my anointed, do my prophet no harm. God take care of his people. There's no such thing that he will allow, sit back and allow the evilness to touch his spirit. He got a lot of spirits that will come forth if whenever he decides to call them out and tell them where and give them instruction and direction. They're going to do it. So the spirit of pain into these people that have been molested, that has been abused, that had died, bad car accidents, and so forth and so on, that had died. Or if you're still alive, you went through these things, but you have no idea that God allowed the spirit of pain to come into your body, and because the spirit of pain is able to handle the pain. Let me make it sense. If not, let me know, and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. I wanted to share that with you because I knew that my job was over. I knew that, that what he sent me here for was over. There's a lot of people involved in that incident. A lot of people involved in when I was born. Like the doctor, when I was born, he slapped me on my ass. And I remember him looking in my eyes, and I could see the enemy himself. And I'm not calling him out by his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. And he looked at me, and I can see the hate. I'm just born. I seen the hate, and I started screaming and yelling, and I was I was calling for my parents, but I was screaming and yelling because I was trying to get the words out. You see, babies might not could speak English, but they know what's happening. They know what's going on. And when you have a child or a baby that focus on you, like watches where you're moving, watches objects and things like that, those are gifted children. You got to raise them totally different because they are in and were born in the spiritual world. They could tell you things, especially babies. They could tell you things if they could speak English. And I think that's one of the reasons why, I mean, I'm sorry, not English, that they could speak, your language, or our language. I'm going to say our language. Because if they could, I mean, can you imagine what they would tell you, what they see? I have a testimony about that as well. I was royally paid off. God opened up the window and poured me out a blessing. You hear me? And he just kept on and kept on. It's like he never forgotten. Not a day go by that he does not forget. When you do things to help deliver God's people, it doesn't say that it's going to be smooth sailing, but at least he helped you build a ship that is able to stand against all darts of the evil forces. Well, that's my story about do I know if there's a God. Right now, today, I still commune with him and he talks to me, or she or he talks to me. I say she and he because there's a she, and I talk to her about my feminine problems, I used to talk to her about my boyfriends and my friend, how you conduct yourself like a lady, stuff like that. I talk to her about that, and she responds. Then I talk to God. I call her the goddess, and I would talk to God about how a man had treated me and, the boys. And I was a tomboy. I used to shoot marbles and get into a fight with boys and get into a fight with girls. But them girls was like, hey, back in those days, they was healthy as an ox. And you had to know how to fight. But that's another story. So, okay, I'm going to go from now on. I hope that it resonated with someone. I hope that um, it will encourage you that to continue your work down here, because at the end of the tunnel there's rewards, there's a bright light, uh, we call it crowns, that will be placed upon your on your head. And each time you tarry and help someone get help, you get a stone in your crown. You might not could see it, but the enemy will. And the enemies, what they do is back away. Even though they want to fight you sometimes to try to encourage you to move away from what you're doing, don't move. Stay where you are. Because there's greatness at the end. God bless you. I hope that all is well. Blessed be upon thee and thy seed. Oh, don't forget to just subscribe. I really would appreciate that. Share and like. Tell someone about me. There's a whole lot of truth that I'm going to share with you guys if God give me the strength. I'm going to share it. I'm going to tell it. I think that's why one of my shows, radio show that I broadcast, I had was Tell It Like It Is. I told I'm going to tell you nothing but the truth. So help me God. Please leave your comments or any ideas or whatever. I will read them and I will respond. To all of the negative or all of the negativities, I will block. Other than that, so long.